Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. At E3 today, there was a quick but important announcement made regarding Age of Empires 4. A release date has officially been set for October 28th. Now that's not a big surprise, as we've been seeing lots of gameplay already for a while, and they released Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition last October and Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition in November the year before, so it seems like they've been trying to stagger a release every fall. The minute-and-a-half long trailer also confirmed the French will be included as a Civ, and there'll be a Joan of Arc campaign. There's a few screenshots on Steam that we'll look at here as well, and you can see a good one here of the French heavy cavalry squaring off against the English. There's also another so far unnamed civilization that seems to fill a camel civ role, in contrast with the Delhi being the elephant civilization. Here we get a glimpse of the new camel civ matched up directly against the Delhi Sultanate and their elephants. The camels seem to come in a melee and archer version, though you can see they have lots of other units to choose from, and at least in the screenshots we always see a big mix of units in every army. We also get a look at their town and architecture as well, and it's pretty obviously some kind of Arabic civilization from the architecture and the scimitars on their infantry. In another screenshot, we see both the French and the new Arabic civilization with their distinctive armor and clothing, and what I assume is going to be their standard army composition. The French seem to revolve around heavy cavalry and heavy infantry, whereas the other new civ has lots of camels, heavy cavalry, and archers. It's interesting that even within the heavy cavalry, you have both lancers and scimitars, with probably slightly different bonus damage behind the scenes. Something else in the short teaser that was heavily emphasized is water combat. We haven't seen much of that in previous trailers, and they put a lot of time into showing how developed it is at this point, as well as the large variety of ships. In this screenshot, we can see 4 distinct ships, and slowing down some of the combat footage, you can see a mix of arrow and cannons are being fired, including multiple cannons at once. Technologically, that's a little more advanced than anything we've seen in Age 2. Out of the 8 civilizations they say will be available on release, we now know about the English, Mongols, Chinese, Delhi, French, and an Arabic camel civ. That means there's 2 left they haven't revealed, as well as the name of the new camel civ. In Age 2, they tended to go with very general names, with the Saracens being the likely counterpart to this new civ, but in Age 4, they seem to prefer more specific names. For example, they chose to use Delhi Sultanate instead of Indians. From the footage, it's also obvious there's been some overall graphic tweaks since we last saw the game. You can see the arrows are now much smaller and more realistic in size, and it takes away some of that cartoonishness that people were complaining about. Other units like swordsmen and crossbowmen you can see also have more appropriately sized weapons as well. I do understand the readability argument of giving large weapons, but given the look of the terrain and buildings, I wouldn't say they're going for a cartoony style, and the weapons do feel less jarring now. We also get a nice glimpse here of the English and their various siege units, including a bombard cannon, an organ gun, and the edge of a trebuchet. I like that it's very easy to assume the roles for the various siege, as they all look very distinct, and I assume the organ gun is more of an anti-personnel siege unit, while the bombard is for use against larger targets. Checking out the Steam page, they also mentioned there's going to be 4 campaigns with 35 missions. If they take roughly an hour each, then that's quite a bit of content right there. There's also a deluxe edition announced with some bonus content as well. It says you get the soundtrack, a unit counters chart, and some exclusive in-game stuff. None of it sounds like it would actually impact gameplay, except possibly for a monument. I need some clarification for what exactly that is, because I think everyone agrees a deluxe edition shouldn't give you an in-game advantage or unlock any new buildings for you. They've announced that the base game is going to be $60 US, and that the deluxe version is going to be $80. Total War and Civilization games go for about that much, and I wouldn't expect AoE4 to be much cheaper. They also say that modding is going to be available in early 2022. It really wouldn't be an Age game without custom scenarios and maps, so I assume that would be the case. The more surprising thing for me here is that it sounds like there's a few-month delay between release and a modding workshop of some sort being set up. I don't love the optics of that, and I hope they aren't trying to push out an incomplete version of the game. I'd be interested in hearing why they have that delay though, before jumping to a conclusion. It probably would have been assumed already, but they also confirmed that games will have up to 8 players. They say you can compete, cooperate, or spectate with up to 7 friends in player versus player or player versus environment multiplayer modes. I assume PvE here means against the AI, but it would be interesting to see if they've done anything creative with a new game mode. The Steam page also shows the minimum system requirements as well. They're actually surprisingly low, with just 8 GB of RAM and a pretty modest processor and graphics card requirement. There's a little bit of confusion, as on the Steam page it says the game needs 50 GB of space, but on Microsoft.com it suggests the size is approximately 93 GB. Keep in mind that Age 2 has an optional enhanced graphics pack, which takes up a lot of space, and it could be the discrepancy here reflects something similar. It wouldn't be surprising to have an optional enhanced graphics pack for Age 4 that doubles the size of the game. In an interesting twist, you can also pre-order Age of Empires 4 and get the Dawn of the Dukes expansion for AoE2 Definitive Edition for free in August. New expansions typically go for around $10 US, and it's an interesting idea to encourage pre-orders. At the least, it tells us that Age 2's Dawn of the Dukes is coming out in August. That's the news that came out today for Age of Empires 4. Hopefully, there'll be an interview in the next day or two where some of the questions can be clarified. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.